Welcome to a brand new episode of Sit Down with Suzanne. I am your host, Positively Suzanne. Now, this podcast was created with you in mind. Each episode is crafted with the goal of encouraging you to be the best version of yourself. So grab your beverage of choice, sit down and relax, and enjoy the show. I am so excited about today's episode because I get so much interaction and engagement when I teach on this, when I write about it, when I speak on it, when I post about it, because it's about setting boundaries. Why are we so afraid of setting boundaries? I've done an episode about it before in a previous season about the importance of boundaries. Recently, I wrote a post on social media saying setting boundaries is not only an act of self care, it's an act of self love. And I got so much engagement on it and responses and personal, people reaching out to me personally and privately because of how important it is. We need boundaries. It's as simple as that. When we don't set boundaries with people, we give them permission to walk all over us. The only people that benefit from you not having boundaries are the people that enjoy you not having them. They enjoy it because they get to do whatever they want, when they want, how many times they want to you. You need to have boundaries in every single area of your life. You need to have boundaries with your personal life, your spiritual life, your professional life. Now, let's talk about your professional life. You have boundaries in professional life. You have boundaries at work, things that you're not going to do, things that you're not going to keep repeating. Now, I had to learn this for myself. You know, when I was younger and I had many roles and I had big roles and big titles, and I thought that meant that I worked all the time. And these companies knew that. And they take advantage of people with you know, that mindset like me that believe that like the harder you work, the better and the more valuable you are. It's not true. So I was working really hard. I was taking work home. I had work in the bed. I had the laptop in the bed, binders spread out, figures, and all of this. And I was doing all this work. I'm no longer with these companies. And I probably one or two people that are left in the company remembers me. I'm proud of the work that I did at a lot of them, but some of them are no longer in business. And like I said, most of the people that are left now are just, like a person who worked their period, periodically, like once in a while, seasonally, and things like that. So the people that were in position of power who knew how hard I worked, they're no longer there. So who was I trying to impress? Right? They took advantage of this and I worked hard and I didn't have any professional boundaries. I worked nights, I worked weekends, I worked on vacation, I gave up vacations, I worked on days off. But I did this. They did not do this because I had not created that boundary. I did not tell them that it was not okay. I might have thought it. At first, I thought I was doing this for me, for the company to show how much of a hard worker I was. And you know what? They knew. They knew I had no boundaries, but they enjoyed it. And I worked till I almost got burnt out. I actually got burnt out. I didn't do it in one job. I did it in more than one job. So I had to learn it. Because here's the funny thing, right, about professional boundaries. They only pay you what you worked. I even remembered, working salary, right? They don't pay you extra. Whatever your paycheck is, it's extra. And they always say to you that If you work under a certain amount of hours, you'll get the same pay. But if you work over, you'll get the same pay. But here's the kicker: you never or very rarely worked under the amount of hours that you were supposed to work. And they knew this. So maybe 1 week or 2 weeks, you'll leave a little early, or, whatever it was, you'll come in a little late because you had an appointment or something. But that's okay, because there's other weeks you work 10, 15, 20 hours over. And they're absolutely okay with that. You don't have any professional boundaries. It's your day off. They call you, you go in. It's the weekend. You're not supposed to work, but you go in. They call you at any time. You have no professional boundaries. Texting, social media, all of this, you're doing all of that. I had to learn the hard way to set professional boundaries, and I'll never look back. So if you don't have any professional boundaries, I'm going to encourage you right now to set some. It's important for you. Being the first one at the office and the last one to leave, all it gets you is burned out. I'm not saying that it gets you, maybe it works in some places, I don't know. I'm not saying that it works better, but all I know plenty of people who worked the bare minimum or just did their job in the allotted time, and they still got promoted and they rose to places. Did all of them deserve it? Absolutely not. But not everybody who gave up any semblance of a life for a job and without having boundaries ended up being the head dog in charge, right? Let's talk about spiritual boundaries. Now, I'm going to offend some folks, but when you're going to church, you have a relationship with the pastor, the first lady, the other members of the church and things like that. And because the church is supposed to be about God, we don't set boundaries. We allow the people in the church to take advantage, do things that honestly and truthfully is not always off God or for God. It is cloaked in spirituality, but it truly isn't about God. And we end up doing things, time, resources, and money, and it wasn't about building and edifying God. So set boundaries, work hard, and we are meant to serve. And when we go to church and we are serving, I think it's so important that people honor that service in terms of not taking advantage of it. I'm not saying you should get promoted or accolades or things like that, because that's not what it's about. But the more that people see that you have a heart to give, where God asks us to have the heart of a servant, and we are meant to serve. Unfortunately, some pastors and leaders take advantage of that and ended up burning out the members of the church and turning them away from the church. And yes, you should be strong enough to not connect what that person is doing to God. But sadly, oftentimes they're not strong enough. And really good people end up leaving the church. Now, the church is just a place. God is with us. We are God. God is us. He's in us. But not everybody has that spiritual maturity where they could speak to someone and tell them, I had someone recently who told me about the experience that they had in a church when they spoke up. You know, they shared their honest feedback. They did it in a respectful manner, and it wasn't welcome. There are good pastors and leaders out there, but we have to set boundaries. And if we're asked to do something that we know has nothing to do with building the kingdom of heaven, edifying God, building the church, supporting the members, and serving God and his people, but it's only meant to glorify man. We should be able to set these boundaries. Now let's hop over to our personal boundaries because this is an area that we have the biggest issues with. We don't set boundaries with our friends and our family members. We don't set boundaries with our parents. And I will tell you, parents are sometimes the biggest gaslighters because they expect something of you that they're not willing to give. They demand respect, but they don't give respect. And coming from the Caribbean, this is something that I know to be true. Caribbean parents, and not all of them because I don't know all of them, but I've seen it. They demand 100% respect and loyalty from their children. And if you try to tell them otherwise, even if it's in a respectful manner, they see it as disrespectful. You can't, they're right. You can't tell them anything. That's so manipulative and gaslighted. That's why as a parent, I really try. Now, I don't do that parenting where, the gentle parenting. That I don't understand. I don't want to understand it. But, and I'm not going to say that there's not moments that I lose my cool, but I want to have a relationship with my kids where we can have conversations. Now, they're not my friends. I don't want to be their friends. And I'm pretty sure they don't want me to be their friends. But I don't want to take advantage of them because I'm their parent. I don't want to teach them that it's okay because I love them and they love me, because someone loves them and they love someone, that it's okay not to have boundaries. You have to have boundaries with your kids. Let them know that they can do things for themselves. You're setting them up for failure if you do everything for them. If you have no boundaries, that every whim, every thought, anything that they want, you give to them. Yes, I know we want them to have better than us and we should give them better than us, but they can't get everything they ask for. We need boundaries. We need boundaries with our spouses. We need boundaries with our friends, with our family member. Everybody in our life, you need boundaries because if you don't have boundaries, what's going to happen? You're going to end up decimating you. There's some people that are mindful that like even if you don't have any boundaries, they won't take advantage. But not everybody is like that. And they will take advantage. And they won't recognize your boundaries because you have none. And they won't give you boundaries. So if you decide that, you know what, I've had a long week, I'm going to decompress over these next 2 days or one day, whatever time you get off. And the people around you can't recognize that by giving you the space, by not making you feel guilty because you can't go out somewhere or do this. Well, I have a friend that and I mess with her all the time. I call her my oldest friend. Now, her and I have had some very interesting conversations lately. We're around the same age. And, we've been talking. And one of her boundaries that she has gotten this year was taking people to the airport. Now, I remember this girl back in the day. She used to take folks to the airport all the time. And because, hey, she was taking me. and, but she made that a boundary recently. And she's like, nope, I no longer give airport rides. And I don't blame her because I don't either anymore. I have done it, but it was something I was just like, you know what, this is awful. You're getting up, you sometimes early because most people have early flights. You're driving, you're battling traffic, you're getting there, you can't park. So the minute you step to, help them unload, the cops telling you go, then you have to navigate, get back out of the airport. And if you're like me, that's bad at direction, that's a whole nother story. And you have to battle traffic and come home. So I'm like, yeah, no, I don't do airport runs. Not everybody was happy. I had a relationship with a friend, and there was something that I always did for them. And I stopped doing it because I noticed the only time they reached out to me was when they wanted this thing done. So I said, okay, what if I stopped? So the next two times they asked me, I said no. What do you think happened? The friendship changed. And then I realized that's the greatest thing they wanted from me, the greatest thing that they needed from me. And that's okay. I'm not mad at them. I honestly am not. I was disappointed, but I realized I hadn't set the boundaries. The second time they asked me, I told them I could not do it. I told them that I had a lot going on. I did not have the capacity to do that. And they said, okay. So eventually they stopped asking, but each time they asked, I told them I couldn't. I had to set the boundary. I can't expect someone to set the boundary for me. So if you don't set the boundaries with your friends, it's okay to set the boundaries with your friend and say, like, listen, I'm just chilling for a couple hours. Like, you know, you don't have to respond to voicemails or texts. I just send a text like, listen, you're good. Is it cool I call you back in a bit? Because I mean, you never know if there's an emergency. So I don't ignore people's call, but I will hit them up and say, hey, like, can't connect right now, can't chat right now. But like if you need me, because if there's an emergency, right? But if it's just to shoot the breeze or, whatever, I need my moment. I will tell you this, once you start setting boundaries, your relationship with people will change. You have to be okay with that. Because I tell you, I think it's better to have a good relationship with yourself than to have good relationship with others. And I'm not saying go out there and, you know, cause all kind of chaos in your life, in your relationship. But a good relationship, like communication, is two ways, right? It has to come and go. It has to ebb and flow. It has to go up and go down. You cannot be the only one that has that's given. You have to get something back. And great relationships, it's a two-way street. Great relationship, both people are invested. It's not just you. So if there's any relationships in your life that you are the only one that's consistently given and you're not getting, you need to examine that. You just can't. Believe me, I've been there, I've done that. Well, not been there, done that in terms of, because I'll be very honest, I've always been very mindful of, I don't think I'd call them boundaries at that time, but I've always been mindful of people not, you know, taking me for a fool. I'm from Jamaica, right? So I don't want nobody to take me for no fool. So that's something that's always been a part of my character. But as I've gotten older, I have found that there are little things that, we can do that helps create boundaries. Like at work, I said before, back at work, I never used to tell them that, listen, I don't want to come in on my day off, or, because I felt like I had to, because I had a big job, right? Like I had to. And I've had friends where I've certainly given more than I've received, and I have stepped back. And if I find, if I'm building a relationship with someone and I find them to be not who I thought they were, I will pull back, because I'm mindful. I'm just mindful. I only allow people in my life in my, not say in my life, because you know what? Like there's people in our life, not everybody in our life that we deal with, that we interact with are close. Like they can be acquaintances and that's okay. But I only allow people in my inner circle who I trust, who I believe has good intentions for me, and who believes that I have good intention for them. And if that's not there, I will pull back and I will let them go. Sometimes I'll let them know why, but sometimes I don't because I think they know why. And I'm just like, it's just not worth it to me. I'm just, you didn't appreciate my presence. You can appreciate my absence. Not negative, but I'm mindful of the time that my energy. I'm mindful of my presence. I'm mindful of who I plan to spend my times with. Ain't nobody got time for that. All right, yeah, I've used this a few times. I think I'm done with it. Like it went out. I know. My sister still says get jiggy with it. Okay. So nah, boundaries are good, man. Listen, I need you to go ahead and set some boundaries. Set some boundaries in your life. Set some boundaries with your mama if you have to, because you're slowly destroying yourself when you don't have those boundaries. You need moments that, like, listen, this is a white zone. Like, no, nothing interferes in this thing. I'm just chilling and listening to nothing and just being me and just being in the moment. Set boundaries. It is self care. Let me tell you something. The other day I watched the Grammy. Everybody was talking, the Grammys, everybody was talking about Tracy Chapman's skin, right? That girl was glowing. You know what they were saying? Homegirl was drinking water and minding her business. So let me tell you, setting boundaries will give you glowing skin. Setting boundaries will make you look like you're drinking water and minding your business. Setting boundaries is self care. Setting boundaries is self love. Setting boundaries is you saying, nah, boo boo, I don't have time. You are not going to take advantage of me. You're not going to do that to me. You're not going to destroy me. I love me enough. And let me tell you this, when someone loves you and appreciates you and values you, they will not have any problem with you setting boundaries because they know that you deserve it, because they also have boundaries. So if you know need to work on setting boundaries, listen to what you need to listen to, read what you need to read, but set boundaries. It's a game changer and you deserve it. In this year 2024, you deserve all the things, and setting boundaries is your right. And I'm here for you and I'm here for it. So until next time, this is Suzanne. Say thank you for listening to this episode of the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast. This podcast is available on all the major podcasting directories. It's available on Apple, Amazon, iHeart, Pandora, Spotify, www.positivelysuzanne.com, plus a plethora of others. Please go ahead and choose your app. Listen, like, subscribe, share, write a review. And if you're feeling generous, please hop over to Buy Me a Coffee and sponsor me at Positively Susie. And until next time, this is Suzanne saying, you deserve it.